Good morning, happy Friday, woohoo! Okay, just warning you, in 1 week, I'm gonna be getting on a jet plane and heading to France. Always wanted to go there. Anyway, today I just wanted to talk about how to create explosive power, how to get stronger. I mentioned if you are on my email list, I just sent an email out, I think it was last Friday, on ways to train explosively. And one of the movements that I love, hands down, amazing, is a kettlebell swing. However, the caveat is you've got to be super duper careful when you're doing swings, and you also want to make sure that you have gotten to the point where it's safe for you to do kettlebell swings. So, and that's not the only exercise. I can show you another one as well with a sandbag that I love to use. But generally, if you go into a mainstream gym today, or you might even have some at home, you can use a kettlebell for that. So let me whip my bell out. So this guy right here is a 16K, which is about 35 pounds, a little more than. And really critical is the setup and then the ability to create tension when you're doing your swings. I always like to teach how to deadlift first before you get into any kind of explosive movement. So just to kind of go over quickly what a deadlift should look like and feel like, basically it's a hinging movement, right? We want to focus majority of the movement on your glutes. The best way to teach this is to create a hand sandwich, not a ham sandwich. Too much salt. So place your palms or your hands like you're karate chopping your hips, and then you're gonna stick your butt out. And you can notice my knees are bending just a little bit. I'm not bending them forward. I'm pushing my hips backward. Best cues that I like are stick your butt out and stick your chest out. But you don't want to create excessive curve in your lumbar spine, right? We wanna keep that spine neutral. So again, if I turn from the side, you're gonna see that I'm creating that hand sandwich. My knees aren't coming forward. I'm not squatting. I can't tell you the number of times I've been in a mainstream gym and I'm just doing this and putting my blinders on because I'm watching somebody do a kettlebell swing that is definitely not doing it right, and they're gonna hurt themselves, right? So be sure you're able to create that hinging movement. If you struggle with doing that, oh, my mommy's calling. You can take your feet about a foot away from the wall behind you, and then sit your butt back, and your butt should be able to touch that wall, and then stand straight back up. So butt touches the wall, and then come back up. You can still use your hands for feedback for that hand sandwich. The other thing that I notice a lot of people will do is when they come up from the swing, they will hyperextend through that lower back. Definitely don't want to do that. You want to create tension through your lats, through your glutes, through your core, so that when you come up, boom, you find what I call a plank position. So right now, I'm driving my feet down and I'm firing my quads and I'm firing my glutes. So keeping that super tight so that I'm not able to lean back. If you're driving your feet down and firing your glutes, there's no way that you're gonna be able to arch through that lower spine, okay? So keep that in mind. So when I go down to grab my kettlebell, I'm actually gonna create the first movement, which is gonna be a hike, okay? So I'm tipping the kettlebell forward towards me, I should say that's backwards, and I'm actually trying to bend the handles in half. As soon as I start to bend the handles in half, I'm feeling my lats engage, which is just gonna create more tension through my upper body. We don't wanna use our arms to get the kettlebell to come up to shoulder height. You're actually using the strength of your hips and the force that you're generating from the ground to get that kettlebell to move forward, if that makes sense. So my feet, whatever works for you. I always say on the setup, if you do a jump squat, however that feels comfortable is probably about the space you want your feet to be apart. The other thing you can do is take your hands and put them on the insides of your knees. And if you take your thumbs and let them touch, that's about the distance you want your feet. So whatever works for you. So we're gonna come down and we're gonna grip the kettlebell. I'm sitting my butt back. I'm gripping the ground with my feet. That's the other thing. Take your shoes off when you train, please. So I'm gripping. I'm trying to break that the kettlebell handles in half. I'm gonna hike it one time and then use my feet and my hips to get the kettlebell moving. Every time I come up, I'm driving my feet down and I'm lifting the crown of my head up. And then to stop it, you just reverse that. Okay? So a good way to practice is to just work on the hike first, right? So tip, grip, hike, swing it a couple times, and then return back down. Practice that a few times. You can hear my heart rate's coming up, starting to breathe heavier, and I'm getting that explosive power. Another great cue that I love is finding your plank at the top of the movement, meaning when the kettlebell's out here, you're really, really creating as much tension throughout your body as you can. So if I were to incorporate, listen to my lungs, if I were to incorporate this as a finisher, for example, I might do a thing where I set up my kettlebells. I've got 3 here, an 8K, a 16K, and a 20K. I might line them all up. Start with 15 reps on the light one, go to 10, go to 5, and progressively get heavier with each one. Take a rest in between because you're gonna need it, and then repeat that. So just real quickly again, one more time to run through. My feet are gripping the ground. I'm tipping the kettlebell. I'm gripping, so I feel my lats as soon as I do that. I'm gonna hike it once, and then start swinging from here. Exhale, every time you push and drive. And done. I should have checked my heart rate. Let's see. Normally I run at about 50. That just got me up to 74, I think. Just that little bit. So, 123, I lied. So, you wanna get your heart rate up, lift heavy shit explosively. The other movement I like, aside from that, is using my trusty sandbag, right? Again, this is another hinging movement, and then I'll also show you another one that I like with the sandbag called a max lunge. But sandbag, the suitcase handle is close to me. Now this bag's too light, but my other bag's a little too heavy right now. But doing a power clean, same thing, finding the top of the plank and coming back down. So doing about 10 of these, appropriate load-wise. Another way to create explosive power. The last one I'm going to show you today is again with the sandbag, and it's called the max lunge, one of my favorite movements. So I'm holding the clean grip, and I am lunging back and forth as I'm bringing this actually water bag. You might be able to hear it out in front of me. Almost, if you were to watch my hips, I'm still snapping my hips into full extension and finding the top of that plank again. So watching on that you're not over rotating. Part of what you want to do when you use a sandbag is to stop that rotation. So you're getting a lot of core engagement in order to do so. Whew, okay. You can see heart rate's up, explosive power. So you could do a very quick workout after you warm up first, of course. Just set your kettlebells up or your sandbag. Do like a 5 or a 10-minute workout. Still something better than nothing, right? Obviously, what I showed you today are advanced movements. You definitely want somebody watching you that knows what they're doing so you don't get hurt. Thinking about all of those cues that I gave you for the setup, and while you're completing the movement, to make sure that your form is proper, okay? The one thing you definitely don't want to do when you swing a kettlebell is have it look something like this. That is basically a squat with an arm lift, and you are definitely going to hurt your back. So, proper form. If you ever want to try it and you want somebody to look at your form, don't hesitate to reach out. It might take us 10-15 minutes to clarify what you're doing, make sure that it's safe, and it's a great explosive exercise to try, and you don't need much equipment. So, kettlebell swings, power, awesome. Try it. Let me know how you do.